So this is the first one of these that I've done, and I thought it would be kind of fun to go through Metroid Metal set from the past Magfest 2024 and show the complexity of some of these videos as well as where they started, because some of these videos haven't been revisited since 2012 or even earlier in some cases. And so I thought it would be fun to just kind of glance at and see, how far things have come. Basically, what happens is the longer I work on videos, the more complex I intend to make them because I'm no longer satisfied with how they used to be. But sometimes things make the cut. Like, for example, this very complicated intro, really complicated intro, as you can see, with like different glowing rain pieces, and a bunch of other such things, uh, did make the cut. That's these waterfalls to animate my own image, which was always fun. But that's the only thing that's really made the cut. I'm also still happy with the fact that there's a little slowdown motion thing here. Otherwise, though, if we look at here, we see, what is this? This is just gameplay and a video effect. That's it. Pretty straightforward. Nothing going on here. We got some text that shows up on certain beats, but it's definitely not hitting the did it. We don't have any of that. We're not really doing that yet. 2012, I wasn't really confident in doing those things yet, and I was still being told that it's an iffy thing to try to sync up the videos with the graphics, so we're still toying around with it back then. Certain sections, like this long section, it just goes, We get a little bit more dicey over here. Get some lightning in there to kind of experiment with it. But that's pretty much it. Like, not a whole lot going on here. I'm still happy with this effect. I did remove it for the new video, but I did like the effect at the time. It's a fun little one. It's super easy. All we've done here is you put a color dodge over. So this is the normal thing. And if we put a color dodge over this warp effect, you just get that. Just that's it. That's all you had to do. Super lucky that it worked out that way. Could have been color dodge, could have been hard light. That's what hard light looks like. Could have been difference. Nah, difference is lame. Hard mix. Hard mix is alright. But hard mix lets me see the text really, really clearly, which ironically in this case is not what I want. I wanted, what was that? Color dodge. I like the fact that the words get all messed up. It's a cool little effect. It's kind of like shredding itself apart. Anyway, that's pretty much it for that one. This other stuff over here is Criteria. Don't worry about that. But if we look at the new one, oh, okay, yep, I mean, you can see, even just by glancing at it, that there's a lot more going on here, and in particular, whenever you see these really long stab lines, that's basically me trying to find the beat. And so if we pop back over to this kind of thing, let's just kind of move our way through this. Got some pretty straightforward things that are going on here, but they look more complicated than they are. So first of all, it's been a long couple years. I have like literally thousands more video files to use from. This is pretty sweet. One of these ones that I have is this really cool one that I downloaded, where it looks like this. Just looks like that effect, and it looks like I put a little bit of a color ramp on it, a couple other things. Also, this white, we'll give it a blip it up on a kick, but we'll get to that in a minute. You can see that's just really doing most of our heavy lifting for us. It's pretty neat. And if you have a color flash at that moment, you can just mask a lot of different things. And the white color flashes are very simple. They're just overlays so that I can still get this bumped up look to it. If I change it to this, if I give it to linear dodge, then it's a little bit too blown out. It gives it more of a soft look, And if it's just normal, then then it's just normal. And it just doesn't have the same kind of kick to it. So just go back to linear dodge. Or what did I turn this to? Yeah, no, I think this was overlay. This was overlay because it was especially bright, and I did not want it to be as bright as it was. But I'm not going to go through every aspect of it. I want to talk about what's helping give it a little bit more oomph. So if we look here, we can see these nice little electrical pieces here. Again, it's just another video file. Simply just this video file. I put all over everything. But if you put it on here, this helps give it a little bit more texture. Pretty cool. And then we'll move along. How do you do something like that? Look at it. There's just so many different things going on. Flash, flash, flash. So what is all this? Well, this is a white, and it is on normal. So what's happening is we're getting a little bit of the Screw Attack logo on top of Samus with an overlay. So if we turn this off, then we just get that, which is also cool. But I like this Screw Attack in there, so I added it. Felt like it needed a little bit something. And then every single time that this white appears, every single moment that appears, it blots out Samus for literally 1 frame. But when you play it, you get this kind of interesting strobe looking effect that happens. And then this crazy thing, there's just chaos happening there. What's going on? All sorts of stuff. These things are scaling up, so they're animated to move towards the camera. There we go. Moving towards the camera, right? And then we have, that has an effect on it, just a hard light in this case, and probably a couple other small things. Yeah, hard light, the hue adjustment. And then there's another Screw Attack on top of that Screw Attack. Look at that. So here's another Screw Attack on top of it. See, it's actually giving us this double image effect, which is pretty neat. And then I'm just taking that same idea and I'm swapping the image with a Metroid instead. So you can see Screw Attack is still back there. Swap it with a Metroid, swap it with that logo. But I just took this and duplicated it a couple times, changed it, changed the color of it. Also, we have this going over the top of it. What is that? Turn it to normal. You can see it's this blast, but the original doesn't look like that. The original looks like this. And so what I've done is I put an extract on there, which makes it very black and white, and then we made it even more black and white, which looks like I didn't actually need that, funny enough. I must have been experimenting with it and then decided that the straight black and white wasn't enough. Yep, indeed. And then I put extract on it. That gets a neat effect. Put an overlay over the top of it. What do you get? That pretty neat effect. Also, I want to talk about what's useful is at the end of every big hit like this, having a white frame or some other invert frame is really useful for punctuating it. Boom. And then here, every time it goes chunk, chunk, the chug, 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 it feels really nice. It's going with it. But the chugs aren't the same because it's like high, high, low, low, high, high. And so all that is it's this effect, it's this video effect right here, which has a mask on it. This mask is covering up the center, so if I delete this, this is what the actual video file is. And you can see it has an opacity animation on it to make it fade away. If I left this alone, that's what you would see, which is also pretty neat in its own way, if we did that. I use that later on Torvus Bog, that type of effect, but we didn't want it here. If we put it back in here. Yeah, so here's the mask again. If I just create an ellipse mask, creates it in here, I invert it, put a feather on it, increase the feather size, maybe change this a little bit so we can get more of this on the edges, and we're done. That's all we had to do. And now, there it is. Just gets that really quick effect. And what's really nice about that is after we've done it, we have this as a linear dodge. Linear dodge, linear dodge. What's this one? This is a multiply because it's lower. It feels like a darker kind of feeling to me. So I just changed. It's basically the same effect, and I just changed the multiply. Another thing you can do if you're super psychotic about this, like I am, is you don't want to just straight duplicate it because then it just looks like you're just copy and pasting the same clip. You can. This is a longer clip, so what we're going to do is we're going to copy this. We're going to shift the clip a little bit so it's like that, and then we're going to remove attributes, and we're going to repaste the attributes. Remove the effect, but that's okay. I can just grab it from here. Copy this, paste attributes. Oh, looks like I guess it doesn't have effects. Never mind. Whatever. Great. And now, that only took a few seconds, but it's visibly not the same exact repeating clip. Although it does look like I did leave it alone in this case. So perhaps I can be reasoned with sometimes. Usually I'm way too spastic about it. I'm actually quite surprised that I left that alone. But we can see that. Also, it's got some edge to it. This nice little edge. What's going on there? Again, it's just a mask. So we got this cool effect. We put a mask around the edges, so it's just this nice little, not just straight gameplay effect. We'll move along. I'm not going to go through this again because this is basically a reprise of that S logo stuff I was showing a minute ago. This is all pretty straightforward. Nothing really that complicated going on there. Nothing really that complicated going on here. Okay, this one. Really wanted to have that hit because I totally neglected it the first time I worked on this video and the second time I worked on this video because I was not told to make it sync. But there's a bunch of different stuff going on here, and the nice thing is once we lock it in, then we can copy and paste it a whole bunch of times and change a couple things, and it's not so bad. It takes a while to get the first thing locked in, and then after that you're kind of golden. So what do I have going on here? I put a TV noise over the top of it, so that's what it looks like normally. I use this TV noise a whole bunch, so you'll see it a bunch. And then we have a zoomer. This could be anything, but in this case it's our zoomer. And then, well, what's going on here? This is very important. There's actually a black frame before the burst frame. That black frame helps to give it this like brief pause of anticipation before the big hit comes in. Anime does this a lot, and it's really useful to do that sort of stuff. So it's like black frame, hold, white frame, black frame. It just gives it a little bit more oomph, just a slightly bit more kick. And then after that, we have a couple other things going on here. There's an AI targeting tunnel. This is just an effect, or excuse me, just a video file that I have. I put a cool little animated color ramp on it, just to give it a little bit more oomph. And then I put another targeting tunnel on it again, because it didn't feel like the first one had enough oomph, so I put a second one on it, get a little bit different opacity, give it a little bit different levels and whatnot. And then there's also a color ramp over the whole thing to help give it even more, to kind of pull the colors in even more. So if we turn this off, you can see this is what it looks like. Just doesn't quite have the same kind of oomph as that blue one did. It's like it's not wrong. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just like here it gets a little bit weak. So just putting that on there gives it a little bit. You can see things come in just a little bit more to give it a little bit. It starts pulling in this other thing down here. Actually, this is off. It starts pulling in this one, this space file. The space file is another clip. Pop back over here. We can see that's what the space file looks like. It has a mask on it. That's what the space file looks like normally. But I really like this edge that it has, so I used it a bunch it gives it a nice like burst. And I use that over here as well, and there we have that. And after we've done that, we can just do that again and just swap out a couple different things whenever we want. Here, I basically did the exact same thing, but instead of using the TV noise, I swapped in this. If I copied this in over, it's basically the same exact effect, but that felt lame. It's fine, but I just wanted to do something a little bit different. So yeah, you can see that that's, you know, it's getting the same feeling in there. I really wanted to get that targeting reticule feeling of the first-person game since this is Prime, and so I used that a lot. And here we can see I got that again. This is a bunch of different pieces. This is an AI targeting tunnel. We can see there's also this other thing called HUD element. This HUD element is, again, something I downloaded. I think it's probably good for a camera or something like that, but it worked really well for my purposes. And I also have these cool little laser barrages that I use a lot. They're very effective. They basically just they just shoot at you. So like that. So it's just like boom. Now this part in the video, I want to talk about escalation. So oftentimes when the band is playing a song, they'll repeat a chorus, they'll repeat a certain riff, etc., but I don't like to repeat the same type of video. So for here, the second time this happens, there's explosions. The first time it happens, we were just setting it up. Actually, not there. I am ahead of myself. I am too far ahead of myself. Here we are. Yeah, alright, so set up. Setting things up. Right, so we're like, oh, there's the target, there it is, but we haven't shot it yet. The second time when that repeats again, we can just copy this entire section, paste it over here, and now we've added more to it. Now all of those things are getting blown up because Samus is killing them, right? So we saw it, but now boom, it gets blown up. And there's a bunch of different things that are going on here, a bunch of different effects. I'll actually rewind to this one a little bit, so we won't get too far ahead of ourselves here, but just to point that out. Moving backwards a bit, we have this one. This part isn't that impressive. It's just a bunch of different effects on top of other effects. No big deal there. This is just more effects on top of other effects. And then here, same thing again. No big deal. And then here, this right here, you can even see just kind of by looking at it. This is a very similar effect to this. There's those flashes again. There's some other stuff going on here. There's a lot of stuff going on here. Like we can see there's black frame, S disappears for a second, black frame, S is back, S disappears, black frame. All of this happens within 1, 2, 3 frames, basically. And then there's an adjustment layer over the top of it to give it this color so it's not just all the same color. Give it a little bit of a boost to make it stand out more. But if we look at this really carefully, we can see, yep, white. I try to make certain things sound off when the band is making them sound off. So here, these white flashes, I'm trying to get that meedly that's being played right there. So if I mute all of this, you can get the same effect. And, you know, many years ago I probably would have left it there, but we're in modern times now. We got to do crazy. So we have this ridiculous thing that goes over the top of it, this sideways hyperspace thing that keeps getting blurred out. There's a lighten effect over it. So that lighten effect blurs with the background a little bit more, linear light. And I just kind of play around with these until I get something that I like. I could even have done this. I could have put it that way and then, like, I don't know, mix this up with this and see what happens when I do that. It's very subtle because it's so chaotic. You can kind of see what happens. I could have done that, but I didn't. Um, and also I want to note here, this hit, boom, boom. What happens there? So a couple things happen there. This goes to white for a second, then it goes back to the logo, long enough for you to recognize that it's the logo, but then we see the lightning bolt between the logo, and so we can see this has a linear dodge on it. This is the actual strike itself, so I put a linear dodge on that. The actual linear dodge is going across the whole thing, but it looks like it's being superimposed within the logo, which is a neat effect, because we get to see it before it happens. And as all lightning, you want it to burst at the end, so that just helps register it. It's only on there for literally one frame, and then it goes to white, and then it goes away again, and then it's on 2 frames, and then it's white again. But that just gives it that little oomph, a little extra kick. And then we're back over here again. And I didn't want to, this is using the same type of effect before, but we don't want to use the same thing we've already done. And there was that burst again, where it's the same thing, but just a little bit different. Now I've put some different colors in here. This red screw tack has an overlay effect on it. Excuse me, this has an overlay effect on it, I think. What is this? Yeah, overlay effect on that. So if you turn that off, it gives you that edge. This gives you that kind of edge. These different flickers. To just layer it and create, just for even, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 frames. But it's enough to give it, you just see it, you feel it. This effect, which is really cool, I end up using this quite a lot. I came up with this effect in another video and I really liked it. It's this like burst gunfire shot. And there's a lot going on here, so I'm not going to try to take too much time, but we'll try to break it down anyway. So we have this prismatic spinning lights, which has a mask on it. This mask is an overlay. If we look at it, it's this effect, so there's that. But if we put an overlay on it, you can see it. It's just enough on the edges, just a little bit. I'll zoom in on this. Just the edges to see that. And then we have, let's pull this out. And then we have this effect, which is this burst. We've seen this before, but now with a overlay on it, it gets this nice starburst effect over it, so that's cool. And then we see, and that's giving it that color. You see that starburst effect. And then we have space, which we've also seen before. We turn this back to, it has a mask on it. We turned it to normal. There's the space mask. We've seen that before. I could have even left it like this. It looks cool too, you know. But I wanted a burst specifically, so we didn't do that. So that's giving us the nice overlay burst effect. This edge right here is all entirely from this space effect right there. And then after that, we have the laser barrage, which you talked about earlier. And that's just used to kind of punctuate what's just happened. So this shot, and then the lasers happen really quickly, and then they're gone. And then we have the main thing that's making this entire shape, which is another video file, which looks like this. This video file is just this interesting, actually like sci-fi tunnel that I got, and that's what it looks like. You wouldn't think that would be a good thing to use for a burst, for a gun, but actually if you start breaking it down really carefully, you can see like, oh, you know what, like right around here, right around, come on, oh, it looks like it died. Come on, thing. Oh, I just gotta have to back up. Right around there, which is what I use, you do get that burst. And then the fact that this actually goes to dark is good for us because it means that these other things will overlay on top of it and create this dark effect. So if we put this back to where it was, that dark effect is actually creating this burst edge for us with space. And so altogether, what we have is, turn this back on. You can see it's very subtle. Like, do you need all those things? See how it spins out when it's done firing? Boom, and it spins out ever so slightly right here. That is entirely because of this spinning thing right here. We turn this off. It still looks cool, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't have that just edge. And also it looks like I turned this layer off too, so there's that. Maybe I wanted to turn that layer off. No, it's still good too. It gives the extra burst effect. This burst right here is what comes with all this. And again, this is just a mask. So there's a mask on it right here. If we delete this mask, we can see it very clearly as day. That's what's going on. And we can get away with it because it's so fast. Actually, it's pretty cool. Maybe I want to use that sometime. Maybe you'll see me use that someday. Yeah, that looks pretty neat. But we're not going to do that for now. So after we've done that once, as you can see, we just duplicate it a couple times. And that looks pretty neat. And we can see here, now Grant had written this like da-da-da-da-da, so I just did it again. And then we just changed the color of it. Change the color of it, change the color of it, put a color mask over the top of it, or an adjustment layer. See, you got the adjustment layer right here. Has a luminous color. Right here we have a Pro C amp. Really quickly, but back to back. This actually looks really crazy. But it's not even that much that I'm doing. Look at it. It's 2 clips. This clip I have just happens to be awesome. This thing right here. When I put a hard mix over it, apparently that's what it looks like. If I didn't do that, here's a normal linear dodge. It still looks pretty cool. But that hard mix just gives it that weird, like, what's going on with the letters. It's getting all screwed up. But there's nothing else going on with it. There's no weird invert or any other adjustment layers or anything. So that's pretty interesting. And then we'll move on. This is the explosion stuff I talked about, so we're just going to reuse the thing from earlier. Now we're going to add explosions. But now you'll also see I added that burst effect into this shot to give it a little bit more oomph right there. You can see it. There it is. There's the sci-fi dark tunnel. So now we've given this, now we've kind of tied it thematically together, where before we were seeing the targeting tunnel, then we saw the burst shot. Now we're seeing everything in the same spot. So now we can maybe, but probably not, make the connection visually that, like, oh, these things are related, and that was the shot that was happening. That's what I was seeing. You can see here I used it a little bit differently, but the same idea is there. Got some explosions on top of it. Easy. And we'll move on. Okay, something I want to note here that's kind of fun. When this fades out, it's not just, I'm not just throwing this to black like I could right here. I could go black, right? But do you hear it? The song goes, it's kind of fading out. And so I really wanted the actual target to fade out with it. So what I did was I took this AI targeting thing that we've seen a number of times with a mask. Here's the mask. And I just ever so slightly faded it out, also using levels to really blast it out of here so that it's being, the contrast is being hit really hard. If you look at how it's animating over here, it starts this way, and then the contrast increases until it's really intense black. So you just do this, and you make it go away by increasing the contrast. By doing that, instead of simply lowering the opacity, what I get is a nice effect where it's actually erupting, the black is erupting out from the center instead of all disappearing at once, which gives this nice, it's a very subtle, again, fade out effect of everything rippling from the middle. This is extra fun because it's so easy. This section's pretty fun. Cool, right? Like it just looks like lightning striking ideally. And all I did was I got some clips of when I want this thing to come in. And what is it? Here's the ship. So the ship's coming in. That's the ship. I cranked the hell out of the contrast so it looks like it's at night. The normal version of it looks more like this. I think it's also inverted. Yeah, inverted. Inverted. Get some lumetri color on that bad boy. Yeah, so there's the original. And you know, that's fine. But I really wanted to increase the intensity of this moment, and so it's got it. Yeah, it's blue. It's all fucking weird looking, and so that's especially because it's going to be lit up by this lightning. So I want it to feel like this is actually what's causing this thing to be blue like this. And all it is from there is we have rain on top of it, simple enough, and then we have a lightning strike, also simple enough. Lightning strike just happens, and then you just have it white at the start on the hard crash, black for a second. See, there's that black trick again, and then have it come back again for a moment and then disappear again, because lightning tends to flash, like it has that double flash kind of effect, like you see it and then there's like this resonance to it. So once we've made that once, see, I even tried, like, what would this be? Look, what did this look like? I tried doing this, like, burst effect kind of thing, but you can tell I didn't like it, so I turned it off. But after we've done that, we just duplicate that a whole bunch of times, change out the lightning strikes. You can see these are different lightning strikes, different types of ship. Copy paste it a bunch of times. Very effective. This right here is way simpler than it actually looks. I have what's this, electric seeping cloud, and I believe I have, what is this? Did I put I put a track mag key on this. So this is my electric seeping cloud. This white, and then I used a track mat to make the white part of it be the gameplay. Super simple. I just tell the track mat, hey, use the electric seeping cloud, which is video 9. It does it. Done. And then to really kind of punctuate the effect, I put some slow motion lightning over the top of it as well. Slow motion electricity. And then because this is going to go for a while, you just leave that for a while, and just going to do that for a while. This is pretty straightforward. I'll show it anyway because I think it's worth just noting. It seems really complicated, but it's really just, I grabbed a ton of lightning bolts that I have, and I just layered them over and over and over and over and over and over. And then here, I put a black and white on it to really drive home the contrast right before it goes away. And I'm doing some inverted stuff. I inverted some of these lightning bolt flashes, and this has a linear dodge on it, and this one has, I think most of them are linear dodges, but yeah, this one has a normal on it. This is the adjustment layer. But it's just, like, you can see it by looking at it. Just a whole bunch of different lighting flashes. then this, really basic, it's just one clip and then a crawl over the top of it, no big deal. And then at the end here, when it goes nuts, this is just a whole bunch of different atmospheric effects that I got. This has a linear dodge, this has a linear dodge, this has a linear dodge. So if we look at them, it's just this super cool atmosphere effect, super cool atmosphere effect, and I'm just layering the hell out of them to give it that electric effect. And then there's a cool ball cloud over the top of it, or under it rather. Neat. And this has a linear dodge, and I actually I doubled it to give it this weird double image thing. Not very easily noticeable at first, but if you once you know that it's there, it gives it this strange, almost chromatic aberration effect. I put like a bunch of I put VR chromatic aberration on it, and then I overlaid it on top of that so it gets all jacked up. And this is just a good old noise thing. This is something I do a lot on little guitar slides or picks or whatever. You can use some cool TV noise to get that really feel like the whole thing is just kind of being violently torn around. This again, what is this? It's just one effect. I just got a really freaking cool effect and I slowed it down. What's that? That is just glitch texture and the screw attack on top of the glitch texture with what? A vivid light. Alright, that's it. This is the normal file. Slap a vivid light on that bad boy, apparently. Just like that. Sweet. A lot of times when I'm making these effects, I don't even know what it's going to look like. I just click stuff until I like it. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. More the same. That looks crazier than it is. It's just this right here, flicker, with some MM on top of it, and that's the glitch texture on top of it. And that's it. Easy. Vivid light, overlay, done. I will say again, hear that? It's like a transition effect. Before it comes back to the actual main video again, it glitches itself out some more, and then returns. That is it. The way this thing ends, that's with this nice little electric museumist. Looks really impressive. It's just an electric crawl right there with one little Screw Attack logo on overlay. That's it. Isn't it cool how easy that is? Hope you enjoyed. Bye-bye.